Hello there. Welcome to my channel. In this video, we want to look at a question on job costing. And this question is from the question paper of November 2024. So going to our question, you see that we have got question two of the question paper of November 2024. Our question reads, Sabela manufacturers makes blankets. They are currently busy with two jobs, Queens B105 and Standard B100. The following information October 2021 at the end of the financial year. The business uses a job costing system and was not busy with terms for the information that we have in the table. So beneath the table, you are given additional information that you also need to go through. We have 3 points in particular according to the additional information. Then on the required part, it emphasizes on showing all your workings. And then 2.1 calculate the applied overheads for each job on 1 November 2020. So applied overheads, remember, as we are given at 1 November 2020, it means this is at the beginning of the year. So let's take note of where the year is starting and where the year is ending. We'll see that we are told that the year is ending 31 October 2021, which is the end of the financial year. So basically, it means the year started at the previous year, that is 1 November 2020, which are the balances that we are given here represents our opening balances. So that's where we are going to base our calculations on our first question, that is saying calculate the applied overheads for each job. So basically, the applied overheads, we're going to say 50,000 plus 18,000 plus the applied uh, overheads will give us the total. Will give us the total for the opening balances. So if you say 15,000 plus 18,000 plus the figure for applied overheads, you will get the opening balance for each job. But in particular, 2.1 needs us to calculate the applied overhead. So we are only calculating the applied overheads where we have the question mark. So how to calculate the applied overheads? We are going to say the direct labor amount, which is 18,000. Since it's paid, the applied overheads are going to be at per direct labor hour. So we are going to say 18,000 is the direct labor amount, and then we divide by the direct labor paid rate, which is 20 rand. And then from there, we can now be able to find the number of hours. Then the answer that we get is the number of hours. We multiply by the overheads recovery rate, which is 15 rand. So basically, that's our calculation. So going to our answer section, you'll see that we are just going to summarize that working, whereby we are saying we are calculating for the two jobs. So we can start with Queens B100, 1,000 rands. We divide by 20. So we are divided by to get the number of hours. Then we multiply by the overpaid direct labor hour. So we multiply by 15 rand. Then if we calculate it like that, we simplify it further, it becomes the number of hours now, we say 20, and then multiply by 15 rand. So you are going to see that the final answer becomes 18,500 rands. So basically that becomes our answer for Queens B100. So I'm going to the second calculation that we are making because the question is saying calculate the applied overheads for each job. So it means we are going to calculate for all the jobs that we've got standard B100 also. So we can calculate for that one. Then beneath that, we are going to say the same approach, whereby now we are saying 12,000 as our direct labor for standard B100. And then we divide by the direct labor paid rate, which is 20 rand. Then the answer that we get is number of hours we multiply by 15 rand, which is the overhead recovery rate. So we go and summarize the size. We say our 12,000 rands, then we divide by 20. Answer that we get a number of hours, which we're going to multiply by 50. And then we simplify it, that 20 into 12,000, you're going to get it as 600. Then you multiply by 15. And final answer becomes 9,000. So that becomes your final answer. So you'll see that we've got 13,500 rands for B Queens, and then we've got 9,000 rands for standard. So we come here, we just fill in so that when you calculate the totals, it becomes similar. B100, 13,000. Standard, we got 9,000. Then if you go to the second part now, it's now saying prepare the account for each job in the cost ledger on 31 October 2021. So we go to our other section, you're going to see that we have had our accounts being there for the both jobs. So we are going to start with opening balances. Then we have our balance BD for the standard B100, debit side again. Basically, we are going to add the totals for the opening balances. We already have the amounts there, then we add to get our total. So we are saying plus 18,000 rands plus 30,500 rands. So the total that you are supposed to get there is going to be 14 for standard B100, whereby you're going to say 10,000 rands plus 12,000 rands plus 9,000 rands. And you're going to get a total of 31,000. So basically, those are going to be our balances for opening balances. Remember, we have already indicated that these are opening balances. So they are going to be our balance and BT. So we come here, we input our balance BDs, whereby like I say, for Queens B100, we have 46,500. And then for standard B100, we have 31,000. So having done that, we now need to enter other transactions given in the question. We are now given cost incurred during the year, which we are also going to transfer to the accounts. We've got direct materials issued, which we have for Queens B100, we've got 50,000. And then we also have for standard B100 for 45,000. So this is direct. And the amounts are going to come from material control. So we come in, so we've got material control, and we got 50,000 for Queens. And then for standards, we also have material control. Which is 45,000. So moving on to the next one, after material control, we've got the direct labor, 65,000 rands for Queens, and then 49,000 for standard. And this is going to come from the labor control. So we transfer the amounts. Labor control, whereby for Queens, we have 65,000. 65,000 is indicated here, and then 49,000 for standard. So that's what we have, and then we move on to the next. If you still have, we now have the applied overheads. So the applied overheads for the year, we are not given again. They are question marks. So we are going to use the same approach that we used the year at the beginning of the period. So we are going to say for Queens B100, we are going to say we have our direct labor is 65,000. So we're going to say 65,000, which is 20 rand. And the answer, which is 15 rand here. So we calculate it and we see what do we get there. We're going to get your 48,750. So this is the figure that we're going to transfer as our applied overhead. So for Queens, we've got applied overheads whereby we put 48,750. Moving on to now to standard B100, we also do the same calculation. Whereby we are saying we have got direct labor is 49,000, so we need to say 49,000. We divide by 20, and then the answer that we get we multiply by 15 rand. So we can as well try to calculate that one. Then you get your answer is 36,750. So basically, this is what we have. So we can then transfer also under standard B100, whereby we have our applied overheads, whereby we've got 36,750. And then from there we can now be able to calculate the total as we are balancing our accounts. So you can start from standard from job Queens B100, whereby we can now put our double lines. So if you add 46,500 plus 50,000 plus 65,000 plus 48,750, you're going to get your total is 210. Was to come to the credit side. So it means this is going to be our balance CD. It also the same amount will come as balance CD on the credit side, which is 210. 210,250, which also becomes our balance BD, the opposite side below the double lines. So this is what we have on that part. So we can now be able to do the same to our job standard B100. So if you say 31,000 plus 45,000 plus 49,000 plus 36,750, you're going to get your total is 161,750, which is the same amount going on to the credit side in between the double lines, which is also going to be our balance CD. And also becomes our balance BD. basically this becomes what we have on the second account of job standard P100. So from there, we can proceed to the next question that we have, which is now saying record the issue of direct material to production in the General Journal for the year ended 31 October 2021. So direct material to production. So we can just come here to see where we can see direct material to production. This is in particular for all the jobs, was it's just saying they got the issue of direct material to production in the General Journal for the year ended 31 October 2021. So if you look at the direct material, I would see that we've got direct material issued. We are having it here. Let's just take note. This is our direct material issued. So from there, we can now be able to calculate 50,000 for Queens B100 and about 45,000 for Standard B100. So basically, we're going to say 50,000 plus 45,000. And we are going to get it as 95,000. So 35,000 is going to be the total, and that is going to be issued to a production. So of course, the double entry involved is the one that we are going to summarize in the General Journal, whereby it's coming from the materials coming from the material control account and are going to the production control account. So we're going to credit the material control account and debit a production control. So that's the double entry that we are going to have. So we come here. This is going to be our General Journal. So having our General Journal, we start with what we are going to debit, which is going to be production control. Which the total is 95,000. And then we credit material control. Where we also have 95,000. So basically that's what we have on that part. So going on to the next question. Our next question now says, calculate the profit and the selling price for the completed job, only. So they need the profit and also the selling price for completed job only. But we know that to get our selling price, we say cost price plus our profits, and then we get our selling price. So just generally, that's how we're going to calculate it. So let's try to see which one is the completed job according to the question. So we got there, but we are told that last point of additional information reads job quiz P100 was completed. So that's the completed job, P100. So we go to P100, we got P100, the first column that we have there. And we have identified the total production costs to be, according to the account that we opened, is 210,250. This one is the total production cost. So 210. 210,250 is the total. And then we can now be able to add other costs. We've got other costs being selling and administration costs of 11,000 rand. Then if we add that, then we get total cost. Then we can now be able to calculate the markup using a markup of 70%. Then we can now be able to get our selling price using the formula that we have here. So we go to our other section and we try to create a statement. Try to create a statement. Whereby this one is for job quiz 3B1 P100. And then we're going to start with total production cost. Which we identified here. Which we identified here is 210,250. So we have 210,250. And then we add the other cost that we have, which is selling and administration cost 11,000. So we have selling and administration, selling and administration cost, which we have is 11,000. And then we are going to get a total. If we add now 210,250 plus 11,000, you get a total of 221,250, which is going to be our total cost. And then we can now be able to calculate our markup percentage. Remember, we are supposed to add our markup, which is our profits here, get our sale price. So then our markup, we are saying 70%. So here we are going to say profit is 70%, 70% times 221,250. And then we're going to get your answer is 154,875. Then remember, our question needs us to calculate the selling price. So we can now be able to add the profit to the total cost to get our selling price, which is going to be 221,250 plus 154,875. I get it as 376,125. And this is going to be our selling price. So that's the final answer for 2.4. Moving on to the last part of our question. Calculate the cost per unit for the Queens B100. Cost per unit for Queens B100. So we are going to say the total cost, and then we divide by the number of units produced. So the number of units produced for Queens B100, we can always try to locate it. So that's the one that we're going to divide. So it's going to be our denominator, then our numerator will be the total cost for P100, whereby we are going to say the total that we have for total production costs, whereby we're going to say direct material issued plus direct labor plus applied overheads. And we did calculate that total cost here, and we got it as 210,250. And then we add the 11,000, that is the selling administration cost 11,000. We add it to get a total, then we divide by 15,000 to get the cost price per unit. So if you check there, 50. So we divide this figure, divide by 15,000 being the number of units produced. So basically, that's how we are going to calculate it simply as such. So we can just say 221,250. Then we divide by number of units, which we got as 15,000. And we're going to get your answer as 14.75 cents per unit. Remember, our question is asking us the cost per unit. So obviously, here we are going to say Your answer is going to be per unit. So this becomes the last question that we have according to our question 2 of question paper of November 2024. Thank you for listening, and hopefully the video was helpful. Please, let's not forget to subscribe and share to our channel. Let's not forget to share the link to our colleagues who are doing cost and management accounting. And 6, let's meet again in the next video.